Okay, good evening, everybody. We're 4 minutes of Mishlei. We're up to Perek Chav Gimel, chapter 23. In Pasuk Chav and Chav Aleph, we have a reference here which reminded me of a specific parsha in the Torah, a specific narrative in the Torah, and let's see if anyone here can guess it. The Pasuk says, Al tihi v'sov'ei yayin, you should not be amongst the guzzlers of wine, bizole vasar lamo, or amongst the gorgers of meat for themselves. Ki sove vizole al yivaresh, for the guzzler and the gorger will be poor, ukroim talbish numa, and slumber will clothe you in tatters. Anyone? Ben Soramora, very good. Okay, very nice. The pasuk in Parshas Ki Say, it says the Ben Soramora is brought to Beisim by his parents, and the parents say to Vizikne Iro, Beinenu zeh sorer umoreh einenu shomea bekolenu. This child is a rebellious child and doesn't listen to us. That sounds pretty much what I say all the time about my children. But they add on this phrase, Zolel v'soveh. What exactly does this mean? It seems to be that they're gluttonous and they're drunk. It's not exactly clear what the phrase means. The Gemara talks about how they're, it's a machlokes, but one opinion is that it never happened, and when it says "Einenu shomena bekolenu," so the Gemara talks about how the parents had voices which sounded the same exact way. Einenu shomea bekol aviv bekol imo. The pasuk says. But I wanted to just quote something that about the Ben Soramora that I saw in a beautiful article by Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. So he points out that the pasuk in Tehillim, Perek Chav Zayin, it says, Ki avi v'imo azavuni, v'Hashem yasveni. That even though my father or my mother may reject me, but Hashem will gather me in. And he says, although there's no overt reference to the Ben Soramora, but the echoes here are unmistakable. This is precisely what the law says when the parents come to court, and they say we can't control our child any longer, and they reject him. And he says, in fact, the part of the story of the Ben Soramora is this rejection, whereas Hashem, when it comes to Yishmael, it says V'yishma Elokim es kol hanar. Hashem listened to the voice of the lad, and then it goes on to say Ba'asher Husham, the way that he's there, and that's in contrast to the Ben Soramora, who is basically punished to give him a righteous punishment, so to speak, or punish him while he's still innocent, because we look al shem sofo to the end of the story, whereas Yishmael is punished where he is right there. So it could be that that's a commentary on this story. I couldn't find it, but I remember recalling from a different place in Rabbi Sachs' writings, or maybe I heard it from him in a shir, where he says that really the parents should never have brought this child to the Beis Din. They say, right, this is our child, he's a Ben Soramora. I even said, sometimes we feel that way about sometimes children, but we shouldn't say this. We shouldn't be a parent who rejects the child and brings them to court and says, this is a no goodnik. Because if they don't do that, then he never becomes a Ben Soramora. And that's what perhaps is the lesson. If it never happened in history, according to that view in the Gemara, so then what's the lesson? The lesson is that we should never reject our children, no matter how frustrating or no matter how difficult they are. We shouldn't reject them, and perhaps that's what Hashem is telling us in the pasuk in Tehillim, that perhaps, God forbid, but perhaps there could be a situation where parents feel that the entire relationship has broken down, and the child feels that there's no way to find common ground. But even in such a case, Hashem tells us that it's not the way I look at it. I don't look at you. Let's say we are rebellious. We're people who feel we don't have Hashem's love. Hashem still tells us, no, I will never abandon you. I will never give up on you. And perhaps the message is, more than we have faith in God, God has faith in us. And to finish with this quote from the article from Rabbi Sachs, in that knowledge we find strength in greater than ourselves, lifting us when we fall, affirming us in the midst of rejection, believing in us more than we believe in ourselves.